Yes! 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 No! The game crashed! Are you kidding me? Oh! Oh!
Welcome to the 15th part of our 451,000 part series, Better Know a Speedrunner, Horror Month. Today, we'll learn more about Maxylobes. Maxy is a longtime runner of a plethora of horror games, too numerous to list here. Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 7, F.E.A.R, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Fatal Frame, and Devil May Cry, just to name a few. A quick note before we get started, if you're a speedrunner yourself, and you're interested in being featured in this series, hit me up on Discord or simply let me know in the comments below. Maxylobes is a 27-year-old full-time streamer from Los Angeles, California. When he's not speeding through scary games on the internet, Maxy is absolutely destroying it behind a drum kit. To kick things off, in true speedrunning fashion, I challenged Maxy to tell us his life story in 60 seconds or less.
Born in London, England, moved to Southern California at the age of 5, lost my accent, got into gaming heavily, got into sports, went to like 3 different schools, made a lot of different kind of friends that inspired me to take up a lot of different things, you know, soccer, basketball, music. All of these things, out of all of them, music was the one thing I stuck to. Became a guitarist. Guitar was okay. Learned drums. Fell in love. I was definitely made for drumming. Tried to get into that professionally for about 5 years before realizing that the music industry is kind of fucked. Moved on to streaming as soon as I found it, and somehow made more of a success doing that than anything I'd ever done in music, which was a very weird feeling. Now I stream full time, and I still love music.
Maxy more or less fell into speedrunning by accident, but once he was in, there was no getting out.
Well, I found speedrunning via YouTube. I was actually recovering from wisdom teeth removal, and I was pretty much just in bed, like totally out of action, so I just played a lot of video games. I looked up some tips or some glitches or some cool things that I could do to just exploit a couple of games, and I looked up some stuff for RE4, and I found the Bitman glitch. All of the recommended YouTube videos were speedruns, and I didn't know what a speedrun was, so I clicked on it, and boom. Found RE4 New Game Plus speedrunning, and I kind of thought to myself, like, this is interesting, I want to know more. I eventually came across the Games Done Quick YouTube channel, and I watched a bunch of Games Done Quick speedruns. I was honestly shocked that I hadn't known about it before. And then I looked in the info of those videos, and they said they were all streamed live on Twitch, and I thought to myself, well, what the hell is Twitch? Kind of a domino effect here. I went to the Games Done Quick Twitch, and I was like, whoa, this is a cool site. And I looked up speedrunners and watched them live, and it was just a crazy discovery for me as somebody who's been playing video games all their life.
Not one to sit back and let everyone else have all the fun, Maxy decided to try this whole Twitch thing out for himself.
The first year of streaming, I started June 2015, and by 2016 June, I actually got partnered. So the first year, I would say, probably went pretty well, all things considered. It was kind of hard to grow on Twitch back when I started, so I'm pretty proud of that. And, you know, partnership requirements were way higher too. And I guess I gotta thank that to the speedrunning community and the general niche games that I was playing. You know, Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 4 were definitely not like super popular speedrunning games, but they were popular horror games, and they definitely have a crowd who likes to watch them. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing if you're playing casually or speedrunning, like people will come and hang out. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into everything.
With a speedrunning career that spans over 5 years, Maxy could have spent this entire spotlight naming inspirations and fellow runners that he admires.
Technically, I guess the first speedrunner that I watched was Resident Evil 4's New Game Plus runner at the time, Sterling. If I recall correctly, he had all the world records for New Game Plus, and his YouTube videos definitely helped me get into running the game myself. I started with just individual chapters of the game. I didn't do full game runs. I just kind of did chapter by chapter, kind of learning and perfecting what I can. And on top of that, I also did full game runs of Silent Hill 2, because Silent Hill 2 I thought was a little bit slower paced, and I thought I could do full game attempts a little bit more reliably. Whereas RE4 New Game Plus is extremely difficult, lots of inputs, very fast paced, so I kind of just took that a bit slower. I also watched a lot of different speedrunners on Twitch when I did go browse that one night. I found Trihex, Fire Dragon, but yeah, just looking back on that, there were so many people who inspired me to pick up speedrunning a little bit more seriously and streaming. The RE4 community was very open to helping me in general, and they definitely wanted to see me improve and succeed. Runners like JTB, Let's Get Pitted, Carpenter, Sterling, Stream Lampshade, just a bunch of RE4 community veterans, some new even, who started around the time that I started, who were very, very generous, who I can now call friends.
Maxie's first world record was gained in one of the greatest video games of all time.
GTA motherfucker!
But it was the after effects of the run that he remembers with the most fondness.
It was Silent Hill 2. I think after learning the game, it took me about 2 months. It took me a while to get good at Silent Hill 2, simply because I was trying to stream at the same time, and reading chat and trying to be good at a game at the same time is just something I was not used to. And so, yeah, the console record, might I add, not the PC record. It felt great. It felt awesome. But at the same time, I knew that there was a lot of work to be done in the back of my mind, like, this ain't the end-all be-all, Max. You're gonna have this for maybe like a couple months. But I was partly wrong, because I did actually have that record for quite a while. I suppose that's simply because of lack of interest in the console version. It wasn't until I started running console that other console runners started taking it more seriously. I kind of started this very slow but sure wave of new console runners trying to beat me. Looking back on it now, I'm more proud of the impact that it had on other people than it did on myself, really.
Let's see what the final time is. Let's see what the final time is. Oh my god! Oh! Yes! 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 Booyah! Oh my god, I'm so happy right now.
Maxie is a regular performer at marathons, and Games Done Quick has had him showcased multiple times. It's no surprise that some of his proudest moments in speedrunning were at these events.
The past 3 Games Done Quick runs that I've done, F.E.A.R, Devil May Cry, and Fatal Frame, my best marathon runs to date, all very good for their own reasoning. F.E.A.R, very complex speedrun with a lot of cool tricks. I was able to explain a lot and kind of blow people's minds and blow the developers' minds in their Discord, and it was good fun to show off that game and just kind of joke around about it. Devil May Cry, I executed so well. I honestly am very, very happy with my performance, not only as a runner, but also an entertainer, being able to entertain and run at that high level at the same time. And then Fatal Frame, a very risky kind of game that I was able to just keep my cool and just play and just have a lot of fun. That run was just a lot of jokes, a lot of good vibes, a lot of pun donations, and it was just good fun, yeah. So I'm definitely proud of those. In terms of speedrunning.
As Capcom keeps remaking their games, horror speedrunners are given opportunities to grow their brand. But it's not always sunshine and roses in Raccoon City.
Stars.
Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. One went really, really well, and I was super happy for, and I played it a shit ton, and then the other, RE3 Remake, being this kind of thing that I thought was going to have a big impact, but instead it had a big impact on my psyche and my mental health, and I actually had to put the game down. Yeah, in the past 2 years, those have had really big impacts, because RE2 Remake, when it came out, it was one of those things where every person who runs or plays Resident Evil religiously on their stream was going to have a very big boost in viewership and a very big boost in new people finding them. And that's what happened with RE7 in 2017. That's what happened with RE2 Remake in 2019. And RE3 Remake was actually the same. But I didn't ride out that boost because, like I said, it was just mentally taxing, and I didn't really want to deal with that shit. I think those are the biggest impacts for sure, as well as the GDQ runs, of course, but for kind of different reasons, because you're You're not streaming during that time, so you're not 100% solidifying that boost in viewership that you might get, or taking advantage of the amount of people who find you through social media or Twitch or whatever from Games Done Quick. So, you get back home after the vacation, you just kind of do you, and if people join, that's awesome. If not, it's really not a big deal either. It's a little bit more lax. Whereas when a new game comes out, like Resident Evil 2 Remake, you just gotta be on it. Content every day, stream every day, 10 to 12 hours if you can, and just really grind it out.
Maxi warns new streamers to avoid the temptation of playing only the most popular titles on Twitch, but to find a game they love that has a dedicated cult following instead.
If you're new to streaming, the worst thing that you can do is try to follow trends or hop on bandwagons, or try to branch out in a game that already has like a lot of content creators behind it and is just kind of saturated. I think the best thing is to find something in the gaming world that you just truly love and are passionate about, and you just stream it and enjoy it. And if it's a niche game, you will find that people who find you on Twitch are going to genuinely like your stream and like your game choice, because you are deciding to not be in that saturated directory and you are streaming something that they are specifically looking for. Hence the reason why I think Silent Hill's streaming and speedrunning did so well for me when I started, because I was in a directory that was not saturated at all, but has a dedicated fan base that just enjoys talking about the series and just watching people enjoy the games, or getting better at the games, or doing challenge runs or whatever.
While most things on the internet are there for life, there's still always a risk of information being lost in the shuffle. And Maxi sincerely appreciates the work that the small few put forth in order to protect the legacy of a speed game's evolution.
Speedrunning as a whole, sometimes the history of a game or the history of a community can kind of get lost because nothing is archived. And I would like to just give a special thanks to people out there who take the time to archive the history, who found what strat, who routed what part of the game, and who contributed to the final product, that world record that whoever has nowadays. It's nice when people archive that stuff. I think that's a really important part to speedrunning. It sometimes is forgotten. If you're in a speedrunning community and you guys find a lot of stuff and you never archive it, think about doing that. Further down the line, in like 5 years, you guys are not even going to know who the hell found anything, and when people ask you about it, you're going to be like, oh, I don't know. And that's, well, quite frankly, that's kind of boring and not very educational. That's just me, I guess. That's just my opinion.
From SGDQ to AGDQ, from Silent Hill 2 to Deadly Premonition 2, Maxi has built one hell of a speedrunning community over the years, and he shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. But that initial transition from music to streaming was an emotional one, and not just for himself.
At first, I think my parents were definitely not disappointed, but saddened by the fact that I was so good at drums but couldn't break my way into the music industry, and they were upset that it just wasn't working out. And I think they were very confused when I mentioned Twitch and streaming and playing games for a living, and they kind of probably thought that I was making a really stupid choice. But after that first year of me growing and gaining success and getting partnered with Twitch, I think my parents were more encouraging to just make the best of it, and if it works out, it works out. And eventually, by the second or third year I was streaming, I was making a comfortable sum of money every month, and my parents were definitely happy to see that. Now I think they're, especially the year that we're living in, the times are definitely changing. I think they're very happy that I decided to do what I did, despite them still being upset that music didn't work out, because they know that I loved it. But they definitely are encouraging of it now, 100%. Really, all they want is for me to just keep going and succeeding and growing and making it even bigger. So that's super cool. I'm very thankful for that.
Before we go, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Maxylobes for taking the time to answer the questions for this feature. You can find links to his YouTube, Twitch channel, and Twitter in the description below. Don't forget to give him a follow. I hope you enjoyed today's Better Know a Speedrunner. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. We've got one last episode in October to highlight a horror game speedrunner, so hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss it. As usual, I'd love any and all feedback you may have. Just leave it in the comments below. Finally, special thanks to our super generous Patreon supporters, Totally Not a Mimic and Happy Code Monkey. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next run.